and then the one in white.
So, like I said, when you see the 2 or 3.
We have a lot of
I'm
people
not pressing.
that serve in the
True.
So, thank you. So because of that.
Those are the people that did. And then. Those are the people that end up making. But I can't see on. Yeah, because I only see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
And
That-
so
Any,
open.
For health reasons.
And then they
or,
start
you know,
breaking ground in January here.
Under doctor's care. And I said, March 6th.
So it's holiday.
But Barrett did it faster. When I signed.
Where's the girl stuff with that?
Wait, they come over once a little bit.
You've been selected.
I don't know if it's on there. I think what it is that where's the girl stuff gonna be part of their.
Oh,
I would think you've been.
Yeah, so like if, I went to
I'm
the,
tripping.
I took the portion. Portion.
You're dismissed.
Portion.
It's okay, that's what he did. I think.
But it's all those are together. So we are partners.
So they really don't.
Right.
Makes sense.
Hey,
Mission.
cause I know James.
They just.
So make- They probably.
And that's the case.
They want the side.
And you shop and you hold that.
Well, I think what happened? Like that whole thing, they're bringing it all through, yes. That's from what I've seen from Amazon, that's what I see. They're knocking it all down, rebuilding, brand new building. No, they're just being, I'm going to repeat, they're gonna be part, so. People that work at the YMCA, all of our community partners, they were there with it, with the setting, so.
I was. I went twice. I got ready. I'm sitting there. I was meeting to the car in front of me. It was a chain reaction.
The one that we always.
So the person. Their insurance, sued my insurance, because I don't got ready. Even though I was wishing their daughter be involved. My insurance.
I mean, it's a lot of rules. Whole track. I mean, it's so much room.
Yeah.
Land like.
Because right now, we broke ground
That's,
in Crown Point on the, they're doing a pickleball stadium. Kinda, so it's 16 pickleball courts.
okay.
So they're doing that now. And then simultaneously, they're doing finishing Hammond.
So you guys text.
Next step. Yeah, so why don't we get like greatness anytime soon?
Because it's like going to job, oldest building for.
Yeah.
Can't.
So I think there's really one is
So
if I get to 10,000 dollars, right now, I'm at 7,000. If I get to 10,000, and I put it in $10 for a couple more, then I will ask to see if we can move to a different application. That's possibly available. No, actually, we have a lot of attorneys. They don't have the license to get them. So the one that they had, now,
I know.
we have a lot of attorneys that are. So I tell them, that's why I literally, it's my second interview.
So you were excused.
Because I'm like, you give me someone who's
Interest with, you are an attorney.
and that's exactly what I did, like, right now, for example, you know, black and brown. Because that's what they. Some, but you know, so I'm just saying, we need people who are. Yeah, so my number tap on. I needed to get to 10. I keep myself trying.
Because I don't want to.
So you want to.
I know.
So that's the reason.
With all the no hair.
Alright.
No, it was a man.
All right. But then I think you switched to.
They're used to it, that was their community center. Honestly, you don't get.
No, I know it because why they used to run it.
Look at the voter.
So they talked about changing some stuff upstairs. So like my office has 15 wooden inserts from years ago. So I was trying to explain to them, they want to do the same thing. They don't want to change it all. The community just doesn't want to change the lighting. But they can't change my but they still don't want to have only one room, like one room. That has the ritual, has the ritual carpet.
Yeah, just for what I said.
You know, it's
So you can go ahead and.
It's for the.
You know, to make it.
She said, yeah, I'm on the birthday.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
You were actually in that.
Well,
I see they are.
Let's go on, please. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
This can be a big meeting for you.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's why I asked you, because I know I can eat.
When I was ready to say, when you eat, he's out there, shit.
Yeah.
That's my question.
Because that helps. And it goes with, you know, from the Dutch. First one. Hey, it was kind of. You may not. You don't look at me. What are you talking about there? You know, I usually. That party on the top, or party at the bottom, something.
Hey, y'all, that's up. Yeah. Really? Yes.
That's why. They just got a new one. Yeah.
Yes.
Back in the days, I bet you ain't slow drive. She's like a driver. Oh, shoot. Shoot. Okay, everybody on this side of town. Low, not work. Oh, yeah. Hello. Not on the double. That's all. Oh, yeah, so fast.
So I, it's like the.
East Chicago Common Council meeting will now come to order on Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. We rise to the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all. Clerk Medina, roll call, please.
First District Councilwoman Monica Gonzalez.
Here.
Third Councilman Terrence Hill. Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfrey.
Present.
Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orr.
Present.
Councilman at Large Wayne Ratchford.
Present.
Councilwoman at Large Vanessa Hernandez Orr.
Present.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Here.
Council President Lenny Francisco.
Present. I have a motion to accept the minutes for the public hearing and regular minutes on Wednesday, April 24th.
So moved. Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilman Hill, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Any questions on the motion? Clerk Medina, roll call, please.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yeah.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Ransford.
Yes.
Hernandez Orr.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes. Do we have any communications from the mayor?
I have none.
Any communications from department heads?
We have accounts payable warrants. 052224 CC. 052224 LA. And 051524 CC.
Is there a motion?
So move. Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Hill, seconded by Councilman Monroe, to accept the accounts payable warrants. Do I have any questions on motion? Clerk Medina, poll please.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
No.
Orange,
yes,
Frankfurt,
Yes.
Hernandez on,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes.
We have payroll warrant bi-weekly 05-1024. And payroll warrant miscellaneous 05-1024.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe to accept the payroll warrants. Any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
yes,
Ransford,
Yes.
Hernandez on,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes. We have any committee reports? Do we have any board reports? Moving on, do we have any ordinances on first reading?
We have one ordinance of first reading, ordinance 24-0012. Sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. An ordinance to prohibit the use of public records for commercial purpose.
So move.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Hill, seconded by Councilwoman Hernandez Orange to hear ordinance 24-0012 on first reading. Have any questions on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, I'm here to talk about this.
Any questions, please?
Now, can you explain?
About a few years ago, we started seeing these requests coming in, and those all over the state. And these are usually internet firms, and they're making these requests for information. And the requests are so large, they'll want some 10 years of claims and warrants and everything. When we looked into them, and other cities and towns have looked into them too, they're basically selling this information. They're not using it themselves, so they put it out for them. So I think the recompense is State Board of Accounts to Indiana Finance. I think that's why there's a response. They came out with that code 514-3, which allowed you to prohibit having to do, get all this information gathered. Like in my office, we had to do that. There's 8 in my office. I had to pull 4 and 43 people to look for all this stuff. And then we also have to, from the IT department, which is components here, you would have to join us with this. There's been so much information, and we see it happening more and more often. So basically, since we found out that they're doing this for commercial, they're not doing it like people, regular people who want to get information for a particular situation, particular contract, something like that. It's just massive with the data. And it's almost getting to the point where you see it on these websites where you have different controllers and treasurers, where everybody's basically, a lot of these towns and cities are enacting this type of ordinance to stop this. And they're not even local, most of them are from the West Coast and East Coast.
Councilman Monroe?
How often are you being asked for this type of information from y'all?
We get it like about every, it used to be once a year, now we're seeing it like twice a year. It's usually the same company, and they want updates. But then they don't ask just for 1 year, they ask for several years.
Councilwoman Gonzalez?
So you recognize the ones that are coming, and you know who they are, and
Yeah, because, they list their names, that's why we can Google them and we can find out, because we never heard of it before. And because they're not asking for anything specific, they might, for instance, like the one that today, they say, well, we had a lot of warrants for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. So they're just on the petition, and then they put it out there, and they want to buy it.
And do you know if, any of the city or towns in our area, do they have the same ordinance and approved by their council or board? Are you familiar? I'm just asking, I don't.
Off the top of my head, they're usually small ones. As a matter of fact, I know this ordinance is basically what we just picked up from the ordinances that other cities have put in.
In our area?
In Indiana.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, okay.
Councilwoman, Hernandez Orange.
So my only question, this is a question that, when I called administration, I saw this before us, I needed to understand why this came to be, which that was the explanation I received, but my only question for our attorney was, for that information is information that anyone who has public knowledge to have, so, and I wanna make sure it's correct, because these companies use it for profit, so that's the only reason that we're able to actually establish this ordinance, correct?
And interestingly enough, the statute already prohibits, the statute already excludes disclosure of information for commercial purposes. So it's already enacted in the code that we can decline production of documents due to commercial purposes. So it's already in the code. We're not sure. I guess I'm trying to understand. It's already in the code that we can reject these requests because they are due to commercial purposes. So I guess I'm not sure what the purpose of the ordinance is. I don't think there's anything wrong with the ordinance. It just restates what the statute already says, but the statute already precludes disclosure of information for commercial purposes.
So from my understanding, the reasoning for that was for the layman terms of specifically that saying of not to use for profit, usage. And I may be wrong, I know Kevin, you were gonna, get chimed in on this, that's why you got here, because I asked those questions.
We started seeing more towns and cities enacting an ordinance, so we thought
Just to
maybe there was something.
Re-up it. And like I said, I don't think, as long, it does restate the statute, but
Yeah.
so like I represent other municipalities and anytime I get a commercial request like this, I just say, I'm not required to disclose pursuant to statute 51433D. But if we want to enact an ordinance that says the same thing as the statute, I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but, or you could just say, I'm not responding pursuant to 51333D. So it's already there, it's already in the statute. Yeah, it's already there, so.
We did, we took it to the law department and we said, here's the problem, here's the issue. Actually, I think the first time we took it was about 2 years ago when we started seeing this. And we're here with this one.
Did you want to speak,
Yeah.
Kevin?
Sure.
Kevin Polsek, System Administrator for the city. So when these requests come through, it's primarily one business. They're a procurement business that they basically gather all this information and they request it because they know it's public information. However, if you go to their website, if you join their organization for a fee, obviously, you now have access to all these records. In our controller's office, I was talking to Kim, and they belong to like forums for controllers throughout the state. Our ordinance that we put together was based on an ordinance by Greenwood, Indiana. And I'm wondering if back in the day a bit, the state statute did not really cover the commercial, and local municipalities started putting together their own.
Listen, I don't think this is a bad thing. I think having an ordinance like this, if it's very specific to commercial purposes, I think you can cite to this as well as the statute anytime you get these bogus requests. Like I said, I represent a lot of municipalities. It is the same procurement entity that is requesting these documents from the city, that's requesting them from the schools, it's requesting them from the county. It is arduous. I promise you that. So I personally have no problem with the ordinance. It reinforces the statute. It restates the statute, and I have no issues with it.
And
Councilman Ransford.
Yeah, so my question is, like Attorney Jones stated, how come we just didn't state the statute versus putting all the manpower into providing the information that they requested if it's already a state statute?
I wasn't aware that the state statute did cover the, omitting, requests for commercial purposes. That's why I'm wondering if at some point in the past, the state had adopted a resolution or something that now included, because so many communities were having a problem with, public information for that. I don't know, I'm just guessing. But from my standpoint, so the ordinance basically says that they don't feel it's proper for the public of East Chicago to fund my job, for me to sit there and prepare all this data and give it to somebody that they're gonna turn around and profit. So that's the reason that the ordinance is, considered.
Totally feel like from a legal standpoint, that makes sense to me.
Councilman Garcia.
With that.
Yes, and I just got a couple of questions. Well, you already answered one, you didn't know because you said you went to the law department and they didn't give you the right answer.
No, I think
We
that,
we saw the problem, we asked the law department for opinion about getting an ordinance in.
Okay. Second question, Ms. Jones, have you had time to check this out? But one thing I don't want it to hinder is somebody on this council or residents making a request for information and then they get denied because they didn't mention this here. So if you could go through that before our next meeting and make sure.
It's very
that-
specific for commercial.
Yeah, so there's a subsection in the statute about commercial use, and commercial use is defined a specific way. And it's including selling, advertising, soliciting for merchandise, goods and services. I believe that's in the ordinance, so it does track the language of the ordinance. I'm happy to look into it further, but the statute does allow for municipalities to pass an ordinance like this to reinforce the statute.
If you could take a look at it before we pass on the next meeting.
and I'll be honest with you, the request that I received for that amount of time, it's only been from this one company that had requested it. And to them, it's a no-lose situation. If you send it, they got it. But if you're wise enough to tell them that, that we don't have to give it to you because you're a for-profit organization, then they just go away and they stop requesting, so.
All right, thank you.
One more, I just have a comment. I agree with Attorney Jones as far as if we need to pass something more specific, we need to do that. I guess my biggest concern is why didn't the law department or our legal team catch it before we have to go through the ordinance? Even as far as refusing, the commercial, people who are profiting from this in the first place. Does that make sense? I think they needed to do more research so that maybe we didn't have to go through all this. But that's just a comment.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Just to that, and Attorney Jones, I think, could definitely, the law is ever changing.
Always,
So,
and it's ever ambiguous.
right, so I know when it was with us for, the school board, when I was at the school board, literally every time you approved one policy, the next month you're approving a whole different policy to do with that one policy. So, that's why I wanted to make sure to get background from what she knew, just because we could work, together to figure out what's best for the community overall.
Thank you. Clerk Medina, roll call, please.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange,
yes,
Ransford,
Yes.
Hernandez on,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes. Have any ordinances on second reading?
We have none.
Any ordinances on third reading?
We have none.
Do we have any resolutions?
Not.
Moving on, do we have any old business? Councilman Garcia.
Yes, just want to let council know, this Saturday at St. John Cemetery there in Hammond, that American Legion Post 508 will be displaying a flag at their veterans grave site. So if anybody want to participate, we'll be there at 9:30.
Councilman Hill.
Yes, mine is about that same situation that I talked about several meetings ago about the East Chicago housing moving over there to the harbor. I spoke with someone and Vivian was putting a letter to try to get those gentlemen here to the council meeting to let us know why the management team has changed. However, that word that the East Chicago housing director said they're done with it and they evidently they don't want to be involved with it. But that being said, I still want to hear from the owners and the people who put the new management team together to see what happened for them to make that change. Something must have happened, like, you know, I want to say something, I ain't gonna say it. So I want to hear from them what happened. So Vivian, I still want to try to get those gentlemen here in front of us so they can tell us exactly what happened for them to make a serious change, because they got money from this. So they might not want to be involved, but we, the council, approved that it's money. So tell us what happened.
Councilwoman Hernandez Orange.
I wanted to just announce that on Saturday, June 8th at 2 p.m. will be the East Chicago Central commencement at the Central High School. And the downstairs would be ticketed spaces. The upstairs are going to be available to anyone. So doors open at 1 p.m., but you're able to go at 2, or it actually starts at 2. And then finally, just to let the council know, we're working on the plans for the naming of the Pastor and Pastora Fontanes. And the date we have set is June 21st, and we're working with La Iglesia Shalom and the Cross Church to have an agenda of what that day looks like. You guys will receive formal invites after.
What's the date on that?
The June 21st at 10 a.m.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Councilman Hill, I know what you're talking about. That project took so long because there was issues with the developers. And they had to try to clear that up. Matter of fact, when they came back to us, they said that developer will be leaving the project. But this city gave up too much money to get that developed, and we don't have no answers, no say. So I'm with you on that.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
I know I'm gonna remind everybody about a letter that I sent, or I was asked, Vivian to send to Weena Guzman about the update on the filtration plants that we have. I still have received nothing, no response. Vivian, nothing. So, we just received a Board of Works packet. I think it was today or yesterday, and, I'm gonna advise my, fellow councilmen to go ahead and look from page 151 on, because it's a series of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of repairs that, from different contractors that are going through the filtration plant. So I'm going through it right now just to look to see exactly what needs to be repaired, because I don't have a response from, Weena Guzman, and I want to know what's going on and how bad the outlook of the filtration plant is. And I think that from what I understand, and I don't wanna, it could mimic what happened in Michigan City, where a city lost water for almost 4 or 5 days. And if that's the case and something needs to be done, or if it's that dire, then we need to know. So again, it starts on page 151 of the public, of the Board of Works agenda that just came out.
Any other old business? Moving on to new business. Do we have any new business? Councilman Garcia.
Yes. Last week, we had Officer Curry pleaded guilty for distribution of cocaine. You know, Curry was suspended under Becker was police chief. He was suspended 3 to 4 years. And the mayor let him back on after Becker left. Then furtherly, when you come to the president, Chief Mayor Rivera, his exact word was he chose for Curry for great leadership. Under the cloud of judgment, prevailing always.
A point of order. Attorney Jones, is this proper to be saying this, and this is under investigation to be talking about this case?
It's not my investigation, so I can't comment on what's proper or not about it. I would defer to the council president to determine next steps on any further communications.
Yeah, but you know what, I just don't think it's right. It's, you know, it's still affecting our Chicago Police Department. So, if there's any other new business,
You gonna limit my.
Yes, I am. Is there any other new business? Moving on to public expression, we do have one. Please keep your comments in 3 minutes. We have, Mr. Thomas Magana.
Good evening, council. Just really quick. I'm not sure how the code enforcement department is working anymore. I'm in the Prairie Park. We're calling it Prairie Park now. Gary 1.5. We're still giving that mayor and Gary an opportunity with his initiatives. It's called BIG, Moving Forward in Gary, right? Houses are becoming dilapidated. Grass is growing really high. It's horrible, right? So again, I'm back here asking for adequate lighting. We got lights, but our taxes have gone up because we had to foot the bill for those lights. Secondly, she's not here, Councilman Orange, she's on Zoom. She mentioned that NIPSCO needed to be more appropriate in terms of the housing exploding, right? Well, if your house is exploded and Gary Fire Department shows up after the fact, are we to expect secondary billing from them since they sent the fire truck and imagine 4 firefighters and 2 water hoses? Is that gonna be added on to the devastation of losing your house? Hopefully no lives be lost, but hey, NIPSCO says it's multiple. Imagine that. But further than that, seeing an accident tonight on railroad in Columbus just brings back the horror that I'm wondering if those paramedics and EMTs for inferior ambulance services are asking those victims in that accident, do you want to drive yourself? Because we're gonna, if you don't, we're gonna charge you $1,400. If you have a health plan, they're paying max 30%. So you're on the hook for $1,100. So I think it's a little disgusting. And then when you ask them for an itemized bill, I said this before, out in Hoffman Estates, the gatekeeper there says, you're a carcass. So imagine you being pulled out of that wreckage, you're a carcass. You're not a human being. And then if your house explodes, again, you're a carcass. You're not a human being to us. We're basically price gouging you because the mayor has privatized all the services. People who maintain our water hydrants from Illinois. If you're an ambulance service, out of Illinois. Our fire department, out of there. Why don't, you know, anyway. Oh, I'm almost done. Thank you, guys. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thanks. Have a motion to adjourn. Move. Motion was made by Councilman Hill, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yeah.
Garcia. Orange.
Yes.
Ransom.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisco.
Yes. Good night.
Good night, Arnie.
The handsome man sitting next to you.